Hey everybody, welcome to YogaWOD. My name is Noel and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about today what we're trying to do this evening with hip mobility. So in terms of hip mobility, there's one motion that highlights a lot of different things, and that's the squat. And with the squat we have a few different factors that are weighing in on this, as you can see with Sticky Steve over here. Three main things I wanted to point out tonight is we have ankles, hips, and spine. Now there's a lot more than that factors into our ability to hold a deep squat and feel comfortable in that position, but these are three primary elements that we're going to be working on. And with these exercises this evening, we're going to be focusing on just a fascial release and then a stretch. So we're going to be doing a little self-massage and then a little assisted stretch. So we'll go over those tonight. I'll show you two for each, two for ankles, two for hips, and two for spine. And hopefully that will improve our squat. We'll check first where we're starting at and then recheck at the end and see if it's made any change. So first thing we get started with is just squatting and seeing where we're getting started at. Feeling pretty good this evening, but there's still things to work on. A little bit in the spine, I feel kind of locked up there. I do a lot of pressing forward for body work. Ankles could use a little work, and again my hips can always use some work as well. I've been running and biking more recently, and it's kind of weighing in on my ability to maintain a good loose position. Now I can also improve my ability to squat down and maintain a nice long spine by adding weight to it, but I want to be able to do this motion without any resistance, without any weight, without any support, just with my own body. And by doing that, I decrease my risk of injury when I start adding weight to it. So we're going to get started with two movements for our ankles and trying to promote dorsiflexion, as that is a movement necessary in order to get into a position of a squat. And we'll do that first by deactivating overactive gastrocnemius, soleus, getting those to release a little bit with the PVC pipe here, and then we're going to do a little stretch with fisherman squat, which I'll do after the release, and see if we can't get better mobility there. And the first version I've seen, I'm going to show of this, I saw first on stretchtherapy.net. If you guys are more interested in more information, Kit Laughlin has some interesting videos for this type of release, and I also have been exposed to it at several yoga centers where alternative is using something softer like a rolled up blanket. But for our purposes, we're going to get right into the nitty gritty with this hard pipe. For the first one, we'll come up to a tall kneeling position, and you'll use the pipe as a little bamboo stick to roll the meat of the calves. Now make sure you're in a good spot first and you have a nice comfortable base of support before tucking the sucker in there. And you can stay upright and start to knead your tissue down, rolling the bar towards your heels in slow, steady movements. And I'm already feeling a lot of tension in my calves. Been biking a lot and running a lot, so obviously they're kind of tight today. And you can do it this way. You can always add alternatives to it. You can go side to side. Get a little flossing maneuver at different sections of your gastroc. You can go a little bit lower towards the insertion where it meets the soleus, a little bit closer to the Achilles tendon, or resting on it in Supta Virasana. Also getting some work in the hamstring tendons by applying pressure there as well. So basically you're softening both of these muscles, or both of these groups of muscles, so they're not as in the way when you go into a deep knee bend, such as in a squat. You don't want to go overkill. Obviously there's always more to do. We'll stick here for about a good 2 minutes. Just working in different ways, finding tight spots, hanging out there, waiting for a release, waiting for tissue to soften. and then move somewhere else. Good. All right, and once you're all done with that, you might want to check things out and see if that mobility has changed slightly. And the next thing that's keeping me from going forward is I need to stretch it out a little bit. So the bar is here for support. You don't have to have it. What you're going to do is place one foot in front of the other in this bent knee position and resting on the top of your back leg. Now you can sit back or sit forward. Preferably sit as much as forward as you can comfortably, and keep a lift in your arch. That's going to be the most important component of this in order not to collapse and tweak your knee. From here, you're going to hold on to the top of your foot. Shift your knee as far forward as you can, keeping the heel down on the ground. Use the other hand to brace the thigh. And what you're going to do is pull the thigh up towards you. Once you get into the deepest bend you can, that's comfortable, pull your thigh like you're drawing your knee towards your chest. Doesn't look like much motion because it's isometric. So increase in tension, no change in length. Keep pulling it back. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, try to soften and guide that knee forward just a little bit more, keeping the heel down. Keep making sure you keep an arch lifted. I like to keep the hand here to keep that cued as you draw it forward. You might feel a little extra activity occur in the anterior tibialis. Front of your shin starts to burn. So that muscle's working. Again, pull back. So I'm pulling my knee towards my chest. It gets my hand and try to push it forward, but I'm pulling it back with my hip. Deep breath in. And exhale. Push it forward again. Just making sure everything's in cue. I might switch hands and then get a deeper push. Make sure my arch is lifted. Whew. Getting past a certain point now. And release. You might do a little massage where that muscle is just working. And we'll switch it up. So I'll show you from the other side. Resting on the top of the foot and the back leg. Front leg's in a comfortable spot. Make sure it's in line with your hip. From heel to toes. And once you're there, you can use one hand to trap your foot. Encourage a little lifted arch. Draw your knee forward. Once it's at the end point, pull your thigh up into your hand. Push back on the thigh. Engage. 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Push it forward a little bit more. Okay, and if you need more room, just switch hands. But keep the arch lifted. Keep pushing forward. Keep the heel down. Melt your toes into the floor. Pull up on your thigh. Push back. Deep breath in. Exhale, relax. Draw it forward a little bit more if you can. Whew. And relax. Shake it out. We'll come back into it. I feel a lot stronger in my lower legs now. And now the next step is the hips. So let's move on up. Okay, so next step, we're going to get working to our hips. And there's a lot of different things we could do for the hips in terms of the squat. Obviously, we can work the back of the thigh, front of the thigh, hip flexors, hip external rotators. We're going to focus today on just the adductors because that tends to be a tight line for a lot of people. And what is not as available so much in the squat is taking the adductors away, getting that stretch, but also keeping flexibility in the ankle joint. So we're going to work on loosening up this line to allow this to soften, and that way they're not counteracting our squat, allowing us to open up our thighs and get deep into it. With the roll, first we're going to test ourselves with a frog position here. So toes are turned out slightly and shins are perpendicular to your thighs, about 90-degree angle. From here, come down to your forearms, rest, find a comfortable spot. If it feels uncomfortable for your knees and thighs, feel free to roll up a towel, blankets, mats, whatever feels good. And all you're gonna do is just to shift your hips back, just to see where that first pull is. And you don't have to go too far, just get a sense of where you're feeling like things aren't giving way so soon. My left thigh tends to be a little tighter than my right, but for demonstration purposes, I'll show you the right side first. So you're going to slide the left leg back and resting in a half frog position here. Move my foot around the bar, but taking the roller, I'm going to slide it underneath the thigh, just above the knee, and already that meat should probably feel pretty tender. If not, great. Work up a little higher, or rotate your thigh around, do internal rotation and external rotation. Straighten your knee, flex your knee in order to find junky spots. And once you found a tender spot, all you're going to do is hang out, breathe, and treat it like you're getting a deep massage. So you're waiting for things to soften. And it could take anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute, along with good breaths. The more supported you are in the rest of your body, the easier it is for things to let go. And that includes having a deep breath. And don't get me wrong, this is tender. But I'm trying to remain as calm as possible and treating it as if it were something necessarily good for me. So I might work here for about a minute on this thigh, finding different spots. And you feel like you worked a lot of the kinks out in one section. You can roll up a little higher into the adductors and get closer into your hips and hitting different muscle groups. Adding movement really helps you get into the different types of fibers, the different pulls that go on in your inner thigh. It's not just so linear as one direction. And once you work that out, switch it up. I'm going to move a little bit in order to access the left thigh a little easier. Shouldn't have worn glasses today. And same thing, just trying to find a support. Resting on your forearms, you could rest the belly down even better. This allows the whole body to be calmer during this process. We're going to rotate from your hip joint in. Pretty tender there. And out. Not as bad on that side. So I'm going to maintain the internal rotation. And breathe. And wait for things to start to let go. Taking note of the different points along the chain. The space on the inside of my knee, inside of my ankle, inside of my hip, all the way up into my torso, and even into my lower back. Trying to get a sense of what this roll is doing for those sections. And then again, work up higher. Usually we don't get up in here. So it almost becomes pretty profound once you find a good spot around here. If you feel anything tingling or pulsating, just move off of it. So you don't want to be hanging out too hard on nerves or vessels. Just stay on the soft tissue and things slide around each other pretty easily, so you don't have to worry too much about damaging anything, as long as you maintain a pretty comfortable level of discomfort. Whew. Good. All right, so we'll go back to our baseline. Just check it out and see if anything's changed. Toes turn out. Back into your forearms. And slide the hips back. You might find that you're not getting the same type of catches, same types of catches that you were initially. You have some availability there. It's still pretty tight, but there's a different quality to the motion. The assisted stretch is next. So for the assisted stretch, what we're going to be doing is an assisted frog with the super band attached to a column at about shin level. Okay, maybe just below your knee. And then from there, you're going to step into it. And the band has a resistance of about 35 pounds. Nothing too extreme, just enough to give you a gentle tug. Because you're already going deep into this posture without it. And the band is just there to help you allow more space to fall back. So resting on your forearms, same position here. You're going to take deep breaths and try to get comfortable. Actually get comfortable, I shouldn't say try. And there's a couple of different contractions we can do from here. One is drawing our thighs into the floor as if we're trying to wrinkle the mat with our inner thighs. It gives your pelvis a little lift, engages the abdomen a little bit, pull down, keep holding that for 5, 4, 3, 2, take a deep breath in, and then relax. Try to let your hips fall back a little further. The other contraction we can do is pulling our hips forward against the band. And even though you can do it, try to find that balance between the pull of the band and the pull forward of yourself to where there's no change in motion, but there's really some activity there. Almost as if you're doing a wide sumo squat with your feet on the floor. Imagine the floor beneath your feet. Press for that floor so your hips start to lift, but they're being pulled back by the resistance of a band. Keep holding. Deep breath in. Exhale, fall back. Whoa. Not tapping out yet. So from here, we can combine the two as well. Pulling the thighs down and pushing with our feet as if we're pushing up from a sumo squat position. So I got these two motions going on. It's a little tricky at first to get used to it, but it really helps you coordinate muscular activity as well as you get a stretch. So I'm pushing through my feet on an imaginary floor, and I'm also drawing down my thighs. Deep breath in. Exhale, try to let everything go. Woo! Boy, sounds are good. That means you're tapping into some area of your body that's going to express some emotion. Oh. Boy, I'll hold here. Refine my breath. If I can't do that, then I need to come out of it. So I need to find it again. And I might rest here for about 10 cycles of breath. Around a minute. And just allow the band to pull you back a little bit more. Boy. That's a stretch. A little off center of the column. So make sure your alignment's pretty well in line with the direction of pull. Oh. To come out of this, use your arms as best as you can. Carefully walk your way back as slow as you would into the stretch. Alright, so the last couple here, we're going to focus on the thoracic spine, the space along your ribs, on your back. And as you know, if you sit forward a lot during the day, that can also be a limiting factor, especially when you're trying to stay upright and drop into a squat. So we're going to get some freedom there with the help of the foam roller. Pretty easy roll. You're going to use the roll to find that space just where your ribs taper into your lower spine, but not on your lower spine. You want to make sure you have some bony protection there on the roller. And we're focusing on extension of the thoracic spine, so avoid flexing and pressing your back into the roller. It's counterproductive to what we're trying to do. We're going to take our arms up and take your thumbs around the nape of your skull, nape of your neck, or the base of your skull, and allow your spine to roll back on the roller. And you don't have to go to an extreme, just go to where you feel some extension. And start to take deep breaths. Each exhale allows you to go deeper into the back bend. Each inhale you get longer, so you're pulling the crown of your head up, tucking your tailbone slightly. And then after you've done a few breaths in one section, roll to another section by pulling with your heels so you roll higher on your back. We're going to go just to the base of the neck in sections here. So again, the focus is on the mid-back, not the neck, not the lower spine, right where the roller is. Move yourself forward again. One more time, kind of like where the tops of the shoulder blades are. Might roll down back to where I started as well, see if things have changed enough to where I feel some improvement. And then we're going to come off. Sit up tall, maintain the extension. We'll move on to our stretch. All right, last one of the evening. What we're going to be doing is encouraging more of that extension of the mid-back by doing a wall dog. So, I said wall dog. So for the wall dog, you're going to imagine yourself taking downward facing dog with your hands against the wall and your feet on the floor. Not a very difficult position at first, but once you start to tuck the tailbone and allow your ribs to drop down towards the floor, things start to feel a little tighter. So I might feel a little tight in the shoulders. I'm going to encourage a little flexibility there, but also trying to get mobility along the rib cage region. And if the ribs move, the thoracic spine is moving. Okay? So from here, I'm going to find the bottom position where I feel some restriction. And it's not too much, it's right at my edge. I'm going to tuck my tailbone towards the wood wall, holding there, and imagine myself pulling down on the wall as if I'm pulling down curtains from a shower rod. I'm trying to peel the paint off the wall with my palms. Keep pulling down. Things are stuck. Held in place. Deep breath in. And then exhale. Keep your tailbone tucked. Just allow your ribs to drop down towards the floor a little bit more. Push away from the wall. Arms are pretty active here, and so are the hamstrings. And so is the belly. Once you reach that next bottom position, that next edge, hold, find your breath, and then we'll pull down again. Tucking your tailbone, draw the hands down towards the floor, keep pulling down, keep everything active. Deep breath in. As you exhale, relax, tuck your tailbone, allow the ribs to deep push down towards the floor. As you push away from the wall, slightly with your palms. Small changes, big sensation. To come out of this, walk your feet up. Light on your hands, don't push away from the wall. You want to keep that space you just created. And shake it out. Cool, now back to the squat. So, after we've done our 6 movements, we're going to recheck our baseline where we started with the squat and take note of any changes. Shins felt a little tight, so I might do some extra rolling there. But overall, feels pretty good, especially into my back. That's a hard spot to get to stay lifted, especially when I get into this crunch position. Cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed that sequence and try it out. Let me know what you think.